Alright, so here's the little slide exercise. Let me play it a little faster and then I'll break it down. Okay, so we're going to kind of do a slide on each string, and the goal of this exercise is that we can create a loop that we can play, you know, and keep practicing all of our different slides on our different strings. Alright, so let me play the first slide out and then I'll break it down. Okay, so I'm starting with my thumb of my right hand on the 4th string, doing a 2 to 5 slide. Then I'm hitting the index finger of my right hand on the 3rd string. Then I'm hitting the middle finger of my right hand on the 1st string. So T-I-M. So then I'm going up to the 5th string with my thumb and doing another thumb index middle roll. Index and middle finger are staying where they are on the 3rd string and the 1st string. So it's 2 forward rolls in a row. And then we need a thumb and a middle on the 5th string and 1st string to finish the roll out. So let me play that a few times. So you can even just loop that one. So that's the first one. Okay, remember, don't slide too quickly, too. To my ear, it sounds a little bit better if you get a little bit of that, you know, get a first note there on that 2nd fret. Slide too quick, it throws the timing off a little bit. Okay, so for the 2nd slide, we're going up to the 3rd string, and we're going to do kind of a variation on what we just did. So we're going to do a 2 to 4 slide on the 3rd string, and do those same 2 forward rolls, except we're going to start on the 3rd string this time. So I'm doing thumb, index, middle, top 3 strings. Then I'm going up to the 5th string, and doing thumb, index, middle, so 5th string, 2nd string, 1st string. And then we need those 2 notes at the end to make our roll work out. So we're doing 5th string and 1st string again. So let's put those first 2 together. Each of these on its own if you need to, as many times as you need to. Okay, and then the 3rd one is we're going to go up to the 2nd string and do a 2 to 3 slide on the 2nd string. And this time, since we're on the 2nd string, we're going to put those 2 notes at the beginning and then do 2 forward rolls. So I'm going all the way up to the 2nd string with my thumb of my right hand. So I'm doing thumb, middle, and then I'm going up to the 5th string, and I'm keeping the 3rd fret down, and I'm doing 2 forward rolls. 5th string, 2nd string, 1st string. I'm doing that twice. So it's... And my thumb comes back down to start it over. So you've probably seen that roll before. That's a really common one. And then you can go back down to the 3rd string to do that same 2 to 4 slide. Okay, so if you do it correctly, you should be able to create a loop where you can slide back and forth between all those. And where I'm getting those slides from is, it's just where the note on the lower string becomes it's the same pitch as the note right above it. So what we're doing is we're finding that we want to slide into that G note, for example, and it's on the 3rd string, but we're going down to the 4th string and finding that same G note. In this case, it's the 5th fret. So that's what we're doing. That's where those slides come from. It's just a way to emphasize that note. I mean, you could always just do it with opens too, you know. Something like that. But it works. It's a banjo style to kind of slide into the notes. Okay, so let's add all those together, and you can hear how you can create a loop. practice that as many times as you need to. It's a good one to practice your speed, you know. Another thing you can do is you can mix them up. You don't have to go straight up and down. You can go back and forth. You could go. So you can just mix them up in any order you want them. Alright, so the next thing we can do, let's add some chords, okay? Because you know, you can use that in practice, and it's a good practice, but let's add some chords so it'll kind of give it some practical application. So we're going to add a G, we're going to do a G, and add a C, and then back to G, and then we're just going to put a one-finger D chord just on the 2nd fret. So I'm just going to do an easy G, C, G, D chord progression. Okay, so here we go. So I'm going to do the slides on the G, and then for the C, I'm going to do something a little different. So that'll give you kind of some practical application on where you can use that in a song. You know, if you have a G, C, you know, G, D kind of common chord progression, you can use those slides on the G sections, you know, and add a little bit more kind of banjo fill, and then just do your simple, you know, rolls over the chords, you know, on the C and the D. That's a really common kind of way to do some basic backup, is just start adding some slides, you know. Here comes D. Back to G. So the chord progression doesn't really matter. I'm just using G, C, G, D. You could use E, E minor, any of your basic chords you want to work on. You're just working on doing the slides on the G part, and then, you know, playing some of the chords on the C and the D, or whatever chords you decide. Okay? So cool. So here's some other little things you can do with this. Each of these little slides is also a very common way to start a break, depending on what song you're using. So let's add some pickup notes, and I'll show you kind of some songs that use each of the slides. So let's do the 2 to 5 slide first. So there's a whole bunch of songs that use that as an intro. The one I always think of is Will the Circle Be Unbroken, you know. You know, something like that. So basically we're just getting up to that note, and I'm just using some pickup notes. In this case I was doing open, open, 2. And it doesn't really matter what notes you use to walk up there. You know, you can walk, it just depends on how much time you have, really. You could walk chromatically, something like that, or you could do bluesier. So that'd be 3 to 5 for a little bluesier sounding, or even 4 to 5 sounds okay too. Practice sliding from 3 to 5, 2 to 5, 4 to 5, and that's an easy way to create a little pickup. You're just walking up to the note. So the opposite of that would be walking down to the note. So we're going to do B, A, and then G. So kind of a 3 blind mice, you know. Something like that. Whenever I think of pickups, you can always go up to the note or down to the note. You just have to figure out what note you want to get to, and then just go either below it or above it and count, count down. Again, it just depends on how much time you have. You could walk way down, Just depends on how much time you have and how long of a pickup you want. Okay? So that'll be something that you can use for that low string slide. Okay? So for the next one, let's do the 2 to 4 slide on the 3rd string. Something like that. The one I always think of is Your Love Is Like a Flower or something like that. Something like that. So in this one I'm doing open on the 4th string, 2nd fret on the 4th string, and then open 3rd string. Something like that. You could also just do open on the 3rd string, open, open 2. Something like that. Alright, let's do that same thing that we did with the low string slide. Let's walk down from above. Okay, so in this one, we got to get to our B note. So let's walk up a few notes above that. So we're up on an E note on the 2nd fret of the 1st string. So I'm doing 2nd fret on the 1st string, open, and then 1st fret on the 2nd string. I'm just walking straight down. E, D, C, B. So something like that can sound really cool. You can do it with some pinches. Something like that can sound really cool. Again, you're just finding you're finding some notes that work in the scale. So I'm just using my G major scale, and I'm just going 1 or 2 notes above it, or 3 notes, and then just walking down to the note that I want. Okay? So last one on the 2nd string, you've probably heard this one, the open, 1, 2. That one's really common. That's a really common one. You could walk from above it too. Something like that. So I'm doing high 5th fret on the 1st string. So it's a G. And then 4th fret, F sharp. 2nd fret, E. And then I'm sliding into it. And there's nothing particular about these pickups. I'm just making them up off the top of my head. You just have to figure out how much time you need and whether you want to go up to the note or down to the note. So that'll give you some options on creating little pickups for these, because each of these slides is a really common spot where your break might start. So some songs that come to mind that use that 2 to 3 slide on the 2nd string to start is Man of Constant Sorrow, or Sunny Side of the Mountains, another one, where you do something like that. So it's really good to not only remember these slides, but also connect it to a real song that you may know, because then you'll be ready to do some sort of kickoff or a break to the song. And it's really good to practice your ear training to start to hear those melodies. And is it start on the low string? Does it start on the 2nd or 3rd string? Or does it start on the 2nd string? Because 9 times out of 10, that's where, if you're in the key of G, your melody is going to start on one of those 3 notes. Those are called the chord tones. So those are the notes that make up the chord. So that's where a lot of our melodies are going to be coming from. So if you're in a jam or something, you can even really quietly, start to kind of hear, okay, is it that note? Is it... You can start to hear try and hear where those breaks are starting. And a lot of times, even if you don't know the whole break, if you can get a little bit of it and start with a good solid intro, you can fool around a little bit more after that, and it's still going to sound like something because you got the first little part of it. So that's what I would practice on that is, work on those slides and then work on some pickups to get into those slides so you're ready to go. Okay? Last thing you can do is you can use them for backup too. You could slide and you could throw vamps in between too, like talked about finding the melody when you're playing your break, they also talk about staying away from the melody when you're playing backup. So this is a great exercise to work on staying away from the melody. Let's say you're playing Will the Circle Be Unbroken, so you know it goes, will the circle. You know, so maybe I don't want to start with that for my backup. Maybe, since I know the melody starts on that 2 to 5 slide, now I have two other options on where I can go. So I could do, will the circle. Or I could even go up to the second string and do it, you know, will the circle be unbroken. You know, because now I know the melody, so now I know where to stay away from it too. So that's the other benefit of that, is once you can start to find those melodies, you also can find where to stay away from it too. So that's another little benefit to this, is it's really good practice for your ear training. And what we want to do is we want to be able to create a loop that we can not get lost in, and you know, we always have a little bit of something to play. So that's one thing you can try. You can also try it with hammer-ons or something like that too. Okay, so last thing I would say is try it. The rolls that I suggested in the tab are just one way. You could also use any other roll will probably work as well. You could use the forward reverse roll, would work good. You know, you'd have to change it a little bit on the top, but you know. Something like that. You could use the alternating thumb roll. Just try some stuff. Keep your foot tapping or counting along. As long as you're playing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and just make sure your last note of your roll doesn't start with your thumb, or doesn't end with your thumb, excuse me, and that'll free you up to start the next measure with your thumb. This is also, lastly, it's really good practice for moving your thumb around. You know, our thumb's hitting all of the 5th string, 4th string, 3rd string, and 2nd string. So we're doing a lot of thumb movement here. So this is really good practice for your standard kind of scrug style, is really get your thumb working around there. And, you know, practice those slides. Get some really good tone out of those slides. So give a bunch of that stuff a try and see what you think. All right, good luck.